High fives. We are sitting next to each other.
What happened?
It's like through the magic of television, right? Here we are, the magic of Halas Hall. I'm Dionne Miller from ABC7. He, of course, is Dan Wiederer from the Chicago Tribune. We are coming to you from Halas Hall because this is where we will live for the next 4 months of our lives.
It's amazing that we're sitting side by side.
I know, it is impressive. Well, that's where we are. We're ready to start the regular season. It is almost week 1. Bears are headed into a few days off before they officially kick things off. This week has been very interesting. We've heard from Andy Dalton, first time in a long time. We've heard from Ryan Pace, which we won't hear from him again probably till the end of the season.
January?
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully with good news. So it's been interesting. What's your biggest takeaway so far? I mean, there's been a lot of news this week.
There has been. You know who else sits side by side? Andy Dalton and Justin Fields.
Correct.
In the quarterback's room, somewhere up that way.
Yeah.
My takeaway is that the Bears are intent on sticking to this plan that they laid out when they drafted Justin Fields, to have Andy Dalton guide them into the regular season and see how long he can be successful doing so. It feels like they're setting him up to have a short leash. It feels like Mitch Trubisky 2020 all over again, where it's just they're looking for an excuse to pull the trigger and put Justin Fields in there, which then leads you to the question, why even set it up like this to begin with? That, I think, is something that we're continuing to sift through and trying to figure out exactly where the mindsets of Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are as they begin this journey, because as much as they've articulated their plan, I think it's left people on the outside a little unfulfilled for their explanation.
It's disappointing to hear Matt Nagy openly say pulling the trigger too soon on Mitch Trubisky last year, which I think we can all agree that he did not teach him much about how he's going to manage this. And I agree. I feel like they're setting Andy Dalton up for failure. They keep saying Justin Fields will tell us when it's time. We will know. He will know. Everyone will know. Well, yeah, we'll know because Dalton is a mess. Like that's not what they want either. The goal is, as Ryan Pace articulated this week, the goal is to win with Andy, and then come back to practice and see the future of the franchise rolling with the second team? Like, what are we exactly waiting for and looking for here?
The thing about Ryan's press conference on Wednesday that left me sort of scratching my head was he said so many of the same things that we heard at this time in 2020. It was, we've got great harmony in the quarterback's room. Our culture here is built to succeed. We've got this vibe. I can feel the confidence from the players and coaches. I believe strongly in the culture and the energy that we have here. And what did it amount to? It amounted to 8-8.
Right.
And so it's hard to take any of that stuff at face value when it hasn't turned into results on the field. In terms of the Dalton Field situation, the thing that leaves me definitely confused is Ryan's insistence on saying this is about Andy. This is about Andy. What I say is none of this is about Andy. It should have never been about Andy. He's just a placeholder until Justin Fields is ready to play. And so to continually articulate that this is about Andy is sort of disingenuous or misguided. It's one of those two things, because this is all about how do you set Justin Fields up to be the long-term difference maker for your franchise. When it comes Justin Fields' time to start, the goal is for him to start into the 2030s.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so it's all about finding a plan that makes that happen. It has nothing to do with setting Andy Dalton up for success.
No, it really doesn't. But I think that they have to be wise, because there is still a learning curve when it comes to Justin Fields. As confident as he is and as smooth as he is and as ready for this opportunity as he is, there has to be some brain and wisdom brought into the conversation, because they are facing the number one defense the first week. And I think that is where they have to lean on Andy a little bit and see. But they want Andy to start week 1, but when are they going to, second quarter? Are they going to be like, all right, let's try this? I mean, it's just there's so many unknowns, and I feel like that's what we heard Ryan Pace say it so much. We've heard Matt Nagy talk about it so much. I mean, I think it's time. You reach that point of training camp all the time where you're like, okay, give us something that means something, and we're almost there. And that, I think, is what this week indicated mostly to me.
Yeah, no, a friend of the program, Mark Potash, said earlier today, we need something else to happen.
Yes.
Right? There needs to be games played so that we can move this storyline forward and figure out what it all means. I think it's difficult because you have this situation where the Bears have good reason to want to start Justin Fields in a backup role. It's the explanation that, listen, as a young quarterback in this league, you don't understand what you're seeing from defenses. You can't make protection checks as easily. It's not as smooth for you to diagnose a defense post-snap and go where you need to go with the football. Those are things that Andy Dalton, having played 10 years in the league, is better at. I'm not sure they've articulated that clearly over the last 4 months to get the outside world to understand exactly why it is that Justin Fields is not ready to play. Everyone in the outside world sees 3 preseason games. They see him playing backyard football. They see him doing it at a high level, and they say, that's a fireworks show waiting to happen. Why aren't we just lighting that wick right away? They have reasons for it. I'm just not sure they've explained it quite properly.
Right.
And with that, Dionne, I think what you have is there was this euphoria the first week of May. We got Justin Fields. Oh my God.
Yes.
The city of Chicago was on fire. Now all of a sudden it seems like there's a ton of distress in the city. Because
anxiety.
Andy Dalton is
There's
starting
so
in
much
week
anxiety,
one,
yeah.
and there's this mistrust of a franchise that has earned the outside world's mistrust. But it seems strange that the Bears have basically forfeited all of that energy and goodwill without playing a game.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's as much as we talk about this is not about Andy Dalton, it is interesting how much they insist that it is, right? Like you ask Ryan Pace, we straight up asked him, how do you think that Fields' progress won't be deterred by suddenly becoming the backup, by suddenly sitting more than he's actually playing?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's because of how we feel about Andy. That doesn't even answer the question.
Right.
Like that's not it, right? I mean, and so they're insisting. It's one of those things where you're like, I think you protest too much, right? Like you're insisting too much to the point where
Right.
we all are kind of scratching our heads. Like there's something more that you're not telling us. There's a plan, yes. They're going to start with him, yes. But I think they all know because Nagy even said if we had to turn to him, we'd feel comfortable doing so. Well, then why aren't you?
Right, and sometimes you feel like the trust level is not built up in the outside world because they don't give you reasons to trust in what they're doing. First of all, they haven't won enough, right?
Right.
This will be my 9th year starting on the beat. I had still not seen the Bears win a playoff game.
Right.
So that's part of this. The other part is you ask questions directly about, did Tariq Cohen have a second procedure on his surgically repaired ACL? The answer is not clear. It seems clear to us that they're insinuating that he did, but why not just say, yeah, he had a second cleanup procedure?
I don't understand. And I don't understand how the head coach can even say things like, oh, the scopes and this and that.
Don't
I'm not
even
really keeping track.
remember.
What? That's your job. Like, how do you not know
Well, he knows.
who and where? Of course,
So
but like,
just say it.
just say it, right? Like, what's the harm in just saying it? I'm not sure.
And what's that? I mean, that should be the motto here at Halas Hall for the next year plus. What's the harm in just saying it? Just
Right.
be honest. Just be straightforward.
say it.
I think they are in a lot of ways in this case with the quarterback situation. They haven't been, and again, it just leaves the rest of the outside world in this state of anxiety that they shouldn't be in. Because listen, nothing for me has changed since May.
Right.
Justin Fields is an exciting player. Justin Fields has navigated OTAs, minicamp,
Yeah.
preseason, training camp on a successful level. He's made obvious growth. He looks great. This should be exciting for the city of Chicago. The franchise quarterback that you drafted in April looks everything like you wanted him to look.
Totally.
That's exciting stuff. So now this distress is all based around he's not playing soon enough. The Bears have to figure out a way to quell that. And the best way to quell it is for Andy Dalton to win a few games at least.
Yes,
But I don't
yes.
even know if that's going to help the outside world, because every mistake that Andy makes is going to be a trigger for the outside world to say, put Justin in now. And
Yes.
they don't have a plan to sort of wall that off.
But Dan, I have to admit, my anxiety is not just over the fact that they're starting Andy Dalton over Justin Fields. It's an offensive line that I have yet to see come together in a way that would protect anything,
Right.
let alone an immobile quarterback in
Right.
Andy Dalton. Like that could be a recipe for disaster right there. The defense got older. We heard this
And
week
continues to.
and continues to, and the Bears have the oldest average age team in the league. This is not promising for a group that is trying to still find their rhythm on both sides of the ball. This is outside of the quarterback position.
Usually when you have an older roster, it means you are in win now mode, right? And you are trying to chase the last of a championship run,
Right.
And this should not be that right now.
No.
You basically pressed the reset button when you let Mitch Trubisky go, when you didn't renew his or renew his contract or offer that 5th-year extension a year ago. And so now when you draft Justin Fields, you should be eyeing further down the road. To have the oldest roster in the league means that you're trying to hold things together when maybe you shouldn't be, when maybe you should be taking a longer view. That's where I get confused, because is this seen inside these walls here by Matt Nagy, by Ryan Pace, as a must-win year, or is it being seen as a can-win year? I think they're two different things, right? A can-win year is them saying, okay, I think we made the playoffs last year. We can go back to the playoffs this year. If we just put some things together, we can win 10, 11 games, maybe challenge and make a short run in the playoffs. A must-win year is we need to get to 9 or 10 wins to save our jobs. Otherwise,
Yes.
we're not here, and we're handing off this wonderful gift of a quarterback who's known as Justin Fields to a new regime who will happily inherit it. That's a strange situation. We haven't heard from George McCaskey to understand where his
that's
bar
true.
is. And listen, George told us in January, the last time we heard from him, that he expected to see progress. That was his word.
Yeah.
Ted's word was improvement in 2021 for them to believe that these guys could go on through 2022. I asked Ryan directly, what would you identify as progress. He said winning more games and getting back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that tells you they need to win 9 or 10 games. Otherwise, Ryan hasn't cleared the bar that he set for himself. And if they don't, what's the accountability for it?
I honestly, Dan, this should be must win. But the scary thing about what Nagy said to us last week was that it takes 3 or 4 years in this offense. Okay, so you have an aging team all the way around this promising young quarterback that if things don't go well this year, they're going to have to now revamp around him. Now we're looking at another 3 to 4 years. Like, you can sense even more impatience from this fan base coming out of that, because it's hard to know exactly where this group is, because I think they should be in must-win mode. I think 18 was a
Who
can
should be
win.
in must-win
The
mode?
entire team.
Okay.
Nagy and Pace for sure.
Right.
Like, and I think 18 was the can win year.
Right.
And I feel like now it has to be must win, because the patience is waning. Because last year they were not a playoff team.
No, right. And I'm tired of being sold that we've made the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years, because
Moving
8-8 and sort of sneaking in the back door in week 17 with a loss, mind you, and then getting your doors blown off in the playoffs by the Saints, didn't qualify as a successful season. I talked about it all last December. You can't see that as an achievement. It wasn't an achievement.
It wasn't.
And so now they have to achieve something. Well, what are they trying to achieve in 2021? In my opinion, the only achievement that they should be looking to unlock is Justin Fields playing at a level that makes you feel like he's going to be the quarterback 8 years from now.
Yes.
Right? That should be the main goal.
That should be the
goal.
goal.
But you can't sell that to the outside world. You can't sell that to a locker room of 52 other players who may not be here when Justin Fields is ready to be a championship quarterback. And so now they're stuck, right? They're stuck playing this game. And it's why the rhetoric gets a little confusing, and why they talk about Andy, and they don't want to hurt Andy's feelings. And Andy as a placeholder who won't be here in 6 months, right? We know that Andy Dalton's last day is the day the Bears season ends. He's not here in 2022 and beyond. And so they've got to get that figured out. They've got to figure out a way to start playing football that looks competitive on the field. It's surprising to me, I guess, that all of the positive energy that should be here going into the regular season has been dissipated and sort of decimated over these last few weeks, just because they haven't really given the outside world confidence in the plan that they clearly feel confident in, right?
They do.
So sometimes you just need to express that confidence in a way that makes outside people feel like you know what you're doing.
Well, but again, they haven't earned that, right? They haven't earned that with their track record. They haven't earned that where when Ryan Pace says he's excited, people believe him to the point of like, woohoo, here we go, we'll bring out the season. Like, no, we're not at that point because of the track record that they've had. So fans are waiting to see. Podsy's right. We need something. We need something new and fresh and exciting. Maybe a couple of days off for them and us will help kind of bring that together when they get back here on Monday, and then it's officially game week.
Right, it's Rams week, and it's a fun
big week
matchup, right? You've got Matthew Stafford playing in a Sean McVay offense. You've got, we'll bring this up again next week, a Rams defense that has played the Bears 3 consecutive years. The Bears have had 35 offensive possessions against the Rams the last 3 seasons.
I love numbers.
2 touchdowns.
2?
On 35 possessions.
I feel like you and I could do that.
So, maybe? I mean, that tells you what they're up against.
Yeah, totally.
Going into LA against a defense that they haven't had success with, an offensive line you're not sure about, with a quarterback you're not sure of, with playmakers, tight ends, running backs, receivers that didn't play in the preseason. It's a giant leap of faith
huge.
to believe that they're going to go in on Sunday Night Football, no less. What a game for them to start out with, right? To have this pressure-packed moment on that stage, trying to prove that they belong and having all these question marks following them.
I know. Well, here we are, Dan. I mean, did you feel it when it turned September? The weather got like fallish. It's time. I'm ready.
It's time for football. I don't need the weather to turn.
A little bit.
No,
come on.
No.
You can't play in 90 degrees.
I want like 82 and sunny through mid-November. I want my Carolina days back where fall didn't come and hit you with a sinking gray ceiling.
No, I agreed, but I like sweatshirts, coffee.
Feels like you're ready to go to the pumpkin patch already.
I am, almost. Or apples first.
First I'm going to go to LA. It's going to be nice there. It's going to be like 85 and sunny there.
I know it is.
And then we're going to have so much to talk about both before that game and after that game.
Yeah.
And then you're going to tell me that Justin Fields is starting week 2?
I've said all along, week 3 at Cleveland. That's where I'm at.
That's where you're at. I'm going deeper. I'm going to say sometime in October, but maybe the Bears will meet us halfway, like week 4 or something.
I know. When was it last year when they pulled Trubisky?
Week 3.
Week 3.
Third quarter of week 3. I was watching from my basement because we were in COVID times.
Yeah. God bless travel. God bless travel. You're on it again, Dan. Well, this was fun in person.
I know. First time.
Right there.
Yeah, there it is.
So great.
High five to end it. There
You
it
bet.
is.